Why? Hello everyone, computer voice representing Ray here, with even more notes than usual, so no overly elaborate intros this time. Fiercely, Ray says once or twice that he'd give My Hero Academia an 8 out of 10, but he's changed his mind in the past couple weeks, now it's a 7.5. Why? Because he felt like it. Secondly, you may notice that the editing style, particularly the audio cutting, is different from the other podcasts so far in the first 20 minutes. This was because that section was edited by Ray's friend and fellow YouTuber OutlawHarvest. While the cuts might be a bit odd at first, they do help quicken the pace, which is overall a good thing. Do you know what else is good? Outlaw's videos. Go watch them. Thirdly, this was Jor's first time on any podcast, something Ray didn't know until after the recording. If you're wondering why he's a bit quiet, this is why. Fourthly, speaking of Jor, at a couple points in this podcasts, a character that he made up called Fakeman is brought up. He is a game show host type character who conducts comedic interviews with web personalities. So far only one of them has been made, but that's another video that you should check out. Fifthly, Ray talks a lot of shite on One Punch Man on this podcast, even though he'd still give the show a 7 out of 10. He was exaggerating a bit when comparing the two shows, so don't take it personally or anything. And finally, aside from the Hero Academia spoilers, there are also spoilers for Noragami's first season in this podcast. Just thought I should warn you in advance. There are also a bunch of mispronunciations, but this intro is already too long for its own good. Thank you for listening to this intro. I hope it answered any questions you have in advance, and that you enjoy the podcast.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Otacast. I'm your host, Ray the Offbeat Otaku, and with me today is...
It's Jor. Hello.
Yeah, the Jorlosopher. Introduce yourself.
I make YouTube. I talk to Ray a lot. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, he is a fellow analytical anime YouTuber. The difference is that he actually makes analytical videos.
That's what I've heard. He sounds really cool, this Jor person.
Yeah. Oh, are we getting guest appearance from Fake Man right now?
No, I have to do the voice if it's Fake Man, but Fake Man's
True.
Busy.
Busy, he says. So yeah, and one of my closer internet friends. That's the other way I'd introduce Jor. Check his channel out. He also does video game stuff. Alright, here on the Otacast, I have a random guest and I talk about a random show. Although one of those things might not be as random because I'm starting to run out of guests. So, the show we covered was My Hero Academia, one of the biggest hits in the anime world last year. Was it good? Was it as good as one meme man? Join us and find out. Everyone's already seen the show, but first, let's get some background out of the way. Jor, actually, me,
okay.
Give us a synopsis. Alright, me. So, My Hero Academia takes place in the not-too-distant future, in a world where evolution, I guess, is a word you could use for it, has caused like 80% of the human race to have various quote-unquote quirks, aka superpowers. And the best quirk users are brought into academies, or brought into like schools for superheroes. And the series centers around a boy named Izuku Midoriya, or as we'll be calling him, Deku. Deku does not have a quirk at first, but still gets a letter of acceptance from one of the most prestigious high schools for superpowered people because he's that smart. And the series chronicles his adventures with gaining a quirk and learning how to use it and getting into AU, as it's known. So
Sounds about right. My Hero Macadamia
Yeah.
Nuts is basically just X-Men in the west, in the East. It's Weeb X-Men.
it's Shonen X-Men.
Yeah, that's a wait. Isn't X-Men sort of shonen? the comics? I don't know. I haven't read comics. I don't care.
um, I mean, some of the X-Men comics, and I barely know anything about the comics, but like most of them are still have adult casts. I think like the only X-Men thing that doesn't is the animated series X-Men Evolution, which has a bunch of teenagers.
Oh, okay.
But
Ooh.
you could also draw comparisons to like Harry Potter or like basically anything with a Magic Academy, like everyone's favorite anime, the Asterisk War.
Yeah. No. The reason I
No.
compared to X-Men is because everyone in X-Men has like a random quirk that
Oh,
may
yeah,
not
no,
actually
I know
help
why
with
that.
catching crime, but
Yeah,
yeah,
well, they have like the same origin for powers,
that
the
too.
sort of mutation thing. Yeah, no, I knew why you were comparing it to X-Men. I just mean there are tons of things that you could compare the show to, but like I don't think that this show is really trying to do. I don't think it's really trying to break a lot of new ground. I think it's just like sort of paving over the old ground to make it better.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I'm glad that metaphor wasn't terrible. So, the studio behind this is Studio Bones, and Studio Bones is one of my favorites. Have you watched anything by them, Jor?
What have they made? Prominent things.
Alright.
I'm a
Uh,
complete. I know nothing about names in studios and stuff.
Lamau.
Why am I on this
They
cast?
made. Because you're my friend. Uh, they made both versions of Full Metal Alchemist. They made Soul Eater. They made Noragami, Darker Than Black, Oron Host Club, Mob Psycho 100, uh, Blood Blockade Battlefront, Eureka 7, Eureka 7, Gosick, Akagami no Shiryuki and one of my all-time favorites, Wolf's Rain. Oh, and the show that I'll be covering on the next cast, Space Dandy.
Okay. Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah.
I've seen like 3 of those shows, but I
Bones.
loved all 3. So,
Which three?
or actually, wait, I've only seen the first FMA. So 2 shows.
What was the other one?
Or on.
You're a good man. I like both of those a lot.
I only watch good shows.
Yeah, same here. I think the only one that I've like seen, the only ones that I've seen by them that I left out of there were Zammed and Rosafon, both of which I really liked, but like I know aren't as popular. But so yeah, Bones is a very acclaimed studio. They sort of broke out of Sunrise after Sunrise had done Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
And as a result, Bones is known for excellent animation, in particular, excellent fight animation. Like, watch pretty much any one of their shows. Even like, there was even a fight scene in Oron.
Oh yeah, I remember. There was one in like a jungle
Yeah,
water park thing. Well, that might have been. There might have been a
yeah,
few. Probably all involving Honey Senpai in some way.
yeah. Even that show, even their romance shows like that or Akagami no Shiryuki Hime, all of those have like fight scenes in them, and they'll all be like very well staged and animated. Um,
Yeah, I like their
and
action.
oh, yeah. Now, of course, there was the show also has a director. In fact, as most anime do, the director of the show, Kenji Nagasaki. I have not seen anything else by him, but he also directed Gundam Build Fighters and another Bones show, number 6.
Huh.
So, I haven't seen Gundam Build Fighters, but I have seen just like various stuff from it, and I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty fitting director. Oh, and the series screenplay writer, the series composition guy, also worked on Gundam Build Fighters. I love it when a show can have like a sort of director writer team up.
from like other
You
things
won't-
they've
you
done
kn-
together.
Yeah, you always know that it's going to be a pretty good result. Well, not always, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's like if you and I were on some other podcast, everyone would know
We're on a
how awesome it would be
we're on a
because we're on this
podcast where
one.
we had notes.
Yeah, true.
And then there's also, and speaking of the writer Yusuke Kuroda, I'm looking at some of his other credits here on my anime list. He also worked on Gungrave, Trigun, Hellsing Ultimate, High School of the Dead, Gundam 00, which I know a lot of Gundam fans hate, but a lot of non-Gundam fans seem to like it, and Infinite Revice. Oh, and Phantom, Requiem for the Phantom. Pretty solid screenwriter and director combo. And then the only other person on the staff that I really want to call attention to, well, actually there'll be two, but the main other person that I really want to call attention to here is the character designer, Yoshihiko Umakoshi. He was a character designer for Berserk 1997, Kashurn Sins, Heartcatch Precure, Ushishi. And speaking of superhero shows, he's going to be doing The Reflection this season. So, a very acclaimed character designer as well.
So basically, this show has all these great people on it and a great studio behind it.
Exactly. I could have just said that, but screw that. Well, the only other person I'll mention, because what did you think of the music, Jor?
Oh God,
I'll let you talk.
I loved the music. It was great. I still hum the tunes on my like free time to myself. All Might's theme in particular is really great.
My favorite track is the one, I don't know like the full lyrics, but it's that one insert song that they play where the drums will kick in. It's just like, and then the guitars come in, and then they're like,
My hero, show me what I gotta do.
it's
Oh
all in
yeah, that
English.
one's cool.
That one's fucking
Is that
rad.
the same one that plays whenever Deku does something really cool, like near the end of an
Yeah.
episode?
That's the one.
Okay, yeah, that one is great.
You know, it's actually funny, when that song kicked in, I thought that the composer might have been Taku Iwasaki, the guy who did Gurren Lagann and Soul Eater, because, like, Gatchaman Crowds. I haven't seen Gatchaman Crowds, but I have seen Gurren Lagann and Soul Eater, and in both of those shows, there's a lot of songs with English lyrics, and, like, a lot of rock songs with English lyrics, so I was like, I bet this was an Iwasaki show, but it wasn't. The composer's name is Yuki Hayashi. Looking at some of his other credits here, he worked on Death Parade. He did the score for that. Gundam Build Fighters. Are you noticing a pattern here?
This is like superhero Gundams.
Exactly. Haikyuu. Every season of Haikyuu, in fact. And Kisniver. So, more and more of an all-star cast here. Even the art director here worked on some pretty cool stuff. That's something that like literally nobody ever talks about, so I won't either.
Wow, not even breaking new ground.
All right.
Just
break
paving
some
the
new
way.
ground. All right, fine. I'll break some new ground. He also did art direction on Afro Samurai, Okurano.
So wait, is art direction like, I don't know, like general aesthetic kind of things, or
Yeah.
Okay.
This guy did a lot of Gonzo shows, Gantz.
I really liked the art direction of, I don't know, do I call it Hero Aka for short? I guess so. I like that.
Call it whatever you
I'll call it Macadamia Nuts.
Macadamia
My Hero
Nuts.
Macadamia.
Gundam Seed, Macross Delta, those are other shows they did. Actually, wow, this guy worked on a ton of Gundam for art direction. Infinite Revice again, we're seeing that for the second time. And One Punch Man. I'll deep dive, well, not deep dive, but dive into shallow waters as to be enjoying this show more.
Oh.
And I don't even think I need to mention that Yutaka Nakamura is a key animator on this, because everybody knows about Utapon, because he's on, like, every Bones show. All-star cast. Not the case with the English dub, which still turned out amazing. It's like, it was actually interesting when Katsuki first started talking. I was like, oh, that's Johnny Young Bosch, isn't it? But it wasn't. The guy who voiced him is named Clifford Chapin. I'm not sure how to say that name. Yeah, both Deku and Katsuki, who I'm not gonna call Kachan. Both of them were like new voice actors, like up and comers, but they did a really good job.
Interesting.
You know, you had talked about art direction. Aside from character designs, which, screw it, let's just start with character designs. I really thought that this show, the way that they, like, animated characters was very expressive.
The first episode is, like, really great for that, I think, because, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, every face, okay, not just the first episode, but every face Bakugo makes
Yeah.
is so expressive. But in the first episode, they have a ton of faces for Deku.
Yeah, like, you know, everybody
That
knows
famous
that
gif, the one of him, like, bouncing forward and back on its chair.
Or like where he's flying into the camera with getting ready for the smash.
Yeah.
Or when he, like, in the first episode, when he, like, runs up and there's all the cherry blossoms behind him while he's watching All Might and, like, Mount Lady and all those other superheroes, like, kicking ass.
Sure.
You mentioned that you had seen Oron, too. Oron and Soul Eater both had the same director. I wonder if the director of this show, Kenji Nagasaki, I wonder if he took some inspiration from that other director, from Soul Eater and Oron, because both of those shows were very expressive in, like, a sort of similar way. I could see a lot of Soul Eater in this show, and I mean that in a very good way. It was one of the shows that got me into anime to begin with. But while Soul Eater has a more, like, Tim Burton-y aesthetic, this show has more of a comic book-y aesthetic, which you can see a little bit in, like, the characters' costumes and stuff. But one area that I noticed it coming through a bit was in the way that more natural formations were colored, like trees and rocks. I noticed they were colored, I know that in splotches isn't exactly the most flattering word. They use, like, a bunch of different shades in sort of a similar way to, like, Western comic books.
Yeah, All Might gets that treatment a lot too. He's drawn like a Western superhero when he's in his manly form.
All Might in particular, comic books have, well, the way that most comics are drawn, especially in, like, the pre-digital era, they'd outline it and then they'd ink it in. They'd just do all the blacks and then they'd do the colors. And I feel like that must have been how they did All Might's.
Yeah, he definitely looks like
superhero form. This is the first One Punch Man comparison I'll draw, because sometimes in One Punch Man they'll sort of do that, but, like, the whole color palette of that show always looked just slightly too washed out for me anyway. The blacks just weren't quite black enough. It's sort of like, there's this video I saw once that was called Why Marvel's Movies Look Kind of Ugly. It's a really cool video essay that I'd highly recommend all of you watch, where he talks about the color correction and how there isn't enough pure black in those films. A lot of it is just really dark browns.
I'm gonna have to watch that after this.
And and he was saying one of the few things that DC has done better than Marvel is that they actually would include those. I think Suicide Squad was, like, the only one where they didn't include those, like, darker blacks. This show sort of takes the best of both worlds. It has brighter colors, but it also has the really dark blacks.
Yeah.
I will admit, though, I don't think this show is, like, visually perfect. I mean, firstly, for a show to be visually perfect, it'd have to have as much, like, meaning to me in the aesthetic and directing as something like Eva or FLCL or Wolf's Rain or Haibane Renmei, which obviously this show isn't going to have because it doesn't have that dark, washed out early 2000s look to it. It looks like it looks a lot more bright and modern and shonen, which isn't, like, my favorite aesthetic, but this show pulls it off amazingly well.
I agree.
The only sour spot I'd say is, while the backgrounds look nice, especially the outdoor ones, I wouldn't say any of them were very memorable.
Yeah.
Would you, Jor?
I think I can agree with that. They're just backgrounds. They're there.
But hey, that's like...
It's like a nitpick.
Well, I don't think I'd call it a nitpick. There's some things where the backgrounds can be even more beautiful than, like, the foregrounds.
That's true. Yeah, nitpick was the wrong word. I always try to predict what someone's going to say next, and then sometimes I accidentally vocalize my prediction.
I do the same thing, so don't worry about it. And then we had mentioned the soundtrack earlier, but we didn't really go very in depth. I really liked the variety here. The out-of-battle themes were mostly just orchestral songs, but pretty good orchestral songs. Then you get into the battles, and that's where, like, you gotta use your music well.
Yeah.
And in the battles, they'd have a lot of, like, rock songs or techno songs or songs that sort of mixed them together. And I gotta say, it was really cool pretty much all the time. It always made sure to bring the hype.
Yeah, as soon as the song kicks in, I'm just like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah! And I'm just like, I'm ready to fight with them.
Yeah, you're always pretty excited for the next battle.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that's about all I can say about the show aesthetically, is just that it's very, very well done.
I agree.
And then now we gotta get into the story and the characters and the themes and that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think I'm gonna let you talk a bit more on for two reasons. One, this has been the Ray show the whole time. And secondly, I don't have a lot to say on it. I'll give my, I would say 2 cents, but I always talk longer, so I'll go with 6 cents.
Ooh, I was gonna guess 4. Going all out with those cents.
Get wrecked. So, as we talked, that's spoilers, by the way, but like, you should go into this assuming that probably sounded pretty arrogant.
I'm going to assume you've seen the show if you're here
watching a podcast on
exactly.
Yeah.
That, or you just love my voice that much.
Yeah, I mean,
or Ray's voice.
I usually don't put like featuring such and such in the video title.
It's true.
So, you're talking about the general synopsis, of course, starred Deku. You know, here's the thing. I almost wish that the first, 3 episodes of the show were the first, 9 episodes of the show. Maybe 6. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
Oh, it's the successes are too fast, almost. The ups for Deku,
yep.
It doesn't...
Yep, he's a Mary Sue. He's the worst character. No.
They don't draw out, his struggle as much as what you're getting at, I'm assuming.
Somewhat. Mostly what I'm saying, though, is that I think that the show was the best in the first few episodes when he was gaining his powers. Afterwards, it was still good, but I feel like the show kind of climaxed at episode 3 when he was on that beach standing atop the wreckage, screaming. I was like, oh shit! That was such an amazing moment. That was like a 9 out of 10 scene.
I agree that was a good scene, but I think the next episode is also really good. Might top it, because that's the one where he gets the rescue. He rescues Ochako from the big robot in the exam, yeah. And it's he's finally showing his using his powers that he trained up for, and then you figure, oh, he lost, but he gets these news.
True. You know, when I say that,
it's yeah, he's a hero.
Instead of saying that the first 3 episodes should have been about a half or a third or 3/4 of the show, I think I'll say that the first 4 or 5 should have been. Basically, I think it was the best when it was sort of Deku trying to get into the academy and then succeeding.
Yeah.
I guess the only problem with this show for me is, well, not the only problem, but the big problem with this show for me was that, similar to One Punch Man, except this show had a more developed side cast, I feel like it was very much set up, but I almost feel like if it was mostly about him just sort of getting in, well, that would have been more setup-y in terms of the overall picture. I also feel like it would have made for a more satisfying first arc.
Yeah, but then again, you can only drag it out so much.
Yeah, that is the thing.
I'm wondering if they had dragged it out, maybe those 3 episodes wouldn't have been as good, spread out into 6.
Right. Yeah. Maybe just okay. I've been changing my stance the whole time. This is the stance I'm going to stay in. I'm going to say, I just wish there was 1 extra episode. If the first third of the show was all about Deku trying to get into the academy. Yeah, the first 5 episodes, since we're including episode 4, where he saved Ochako from the massive robot. If those were the first 5 episodes of the show, I think it would have been just a little bit better.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think they could have pulled out another episode there.
Yeah, well, especially because the final few episodes in comparison like, you look at the first 3 episodes, and they get so much accomplished. Even if if the first 4 episodes, they get so much accomplished. Even if it was 5 episodes, I still would have felt like they got so much accomplished. But then you look at the final 3 episodes, and I don't feel like they really accomplished very much.
Yeah, this is a lot. This reminds me, this effect. I don't know what to call it because I don't know what show has did this first. But what always comes to mind is Attack on Titan because
Oh, yeah.
it has like it starts off like it hits the ground running, gives you like I think Aaron's mom dies in the first episode. They like establish all of this stuff in one episode, and then I think episode 2 they're in training, and then episode 3 they're fighting again, and that's almost too fast. But then right after that they go into like a super long like boulder sequence or some garbage, like some they drag it out. They drag out the pacing for like 8 episodes. I guess this is like a shonen problem.
Yeah, this is very much a shonen thing, where a lot of shonens, they sort of have a tendency to like the setup, the premise will be like the most interesting part because that's how they gotta, like get published.
Yeah.
But then to continue getting published, they're like, "Hey, I bet you can drag out this fight with this villain a little bit longer."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Okay." And then they adapt it into an anime and they're like, "Oh, they're still fighting that villain. I guess we gotta add in a little bit of filler before they fight the next villain."
Yep.
To be fair, though, it's not. Some shonen are just kind of like villain of the arc sort of things, but other ones do feel like they're moving in a somewhat clear direction. This show, I'd say it's mostly moving in a pretty clear direction.
Yeah.
I feel like
I think the last like what is it? What did they call it? The League of Villains or whatever?
the League of Villains,
Yeah.
yes.
The League of Villains thing at the end, I think it dragged on a bit too long, but it's not like too long. Like it's passable. I can survive it.
Yeah, and to be fair, I have seen Bones do a worse job at stretching out a season so that they have stuff to work with in case the first core is successful. You said, alright, you haven't seen Noragami. I'm gonna spoil it just a little bit.
Okay.
So, the first 9 episodes of Noragami are pretty great, in my opinion. Basically, so in that show, like Soul Eater, there are like living weapon people, and it's all about, but like they're wielded by the Shinto gods. So it's all about a god who's like lost a bunch of his powers trying to find a weapon. And it's cool because he and his weapon both get like a ton of development in those 9 episodes. And then in the final 3 episodes, the girl who's sort of been like the secondary protagonist is like made into a damsel in distress, and there's like an anime original villain who's like, "Quick, Yato,
Sounds
we
like-
must duel so that we can finish off this season."
This sounds like Sword Art Online.
Don't worry, it's not that.
No, it just sounds similar.
There's no rape.
in like, oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, there's no rape, and there's only one girl that has any sort of romantic interest in the lead, so
Oh, nice.
yeah. And like, the characters, with the exception of the girl, because she's like not as interesting in that arc, but like Yato and Yukine, the two-thirds of that trio they're still pretty good during that arc. But when you watch it, you're like, all right, what I got out of this was a really cool fight scene, and a few nice character moments, but nothing that stacked up to the first 9 episodes. And you could sort of tell that Bones was like, all right, how do we know if we're gonna get a sequel yet? And they were like, no, and we were like, Alright, well, this will work well enough until we do. There is a second season of Noragami, but I still haven't watched it.
Right.
This show felt like they were like. This show, the extensions feel more natural. Because.
Hiroaka.
Well, yeah, you could say that. But I was going to say that, like. I remember on the Spring 2016 Weebcast, when they were talking about the first few episodes of this show, they were saying that, like, I think second episode, that, like, big flashback that happens was, like, a few pages. So things like that, like expanding the opening a lot, and then they probably expanded the ending bit with the League of Villains a little bit.
Yeah.
But all of that feels pretty natural. So this show didn't suffer from Noragami syndrome, as I like to call it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you're adapting something, what can you do? If they hadn't dragged out the League of Villains part enough, it would have gotten into the arc the second season gets into, and cutting that in half would be really weird. So this is like the lesser of two evils kind of thing.
Yeah, it is 13 episodes, and not 12.
That's
so
true.
So who knows? They could have cut it down one episode, but I've talked a bit about the pacing and structure, like it bogs down the show, but I wouldn't say it does. I wouldn't say it's like perfectly paced, but I would say that it's very well paced.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's probably just my biggest complaint with the show. I feel like the main is that like the literal climax happens in like episode 13, but like the emotional climax for me anyway happened in like episode 3.
Oh, wonderful. My Discord is cutting you out.
Oh really?
Oh,
I
sorry.
need this cat to get out of my computer.
It might be my internet, because it's saying it's got low connection or some garbage.
Yeah, we'll live.
Oh well.
And the audience will be able to hear everything I'm saying, since we're recording this on Audacity anyway.
This is true. So the
All right.
writing. We're still on writing,
Yeah.
right?
We're just gonna be doing writing for the rest of it.
Okay.
So, what do you have to say? Well, actually, here I'll say one or two other things. I sort of dragged out that first point longer than I meant.
Yeah, that was like 12 cents, bro.
Yep. I dragged out like the 3 cents of that 6 cents into like 12 cents.
Yeah, you're gonna spend your
Okay.
entire oh wait.
Writing. Other small flaws. There's like 2 characters that I don't like, but that's it. So, you know, that's a bit of a nitpick. But like, Stomach Laser Dude, whose name I forget, and Meta. I forget his exact name.
Is it
the purple ball?
yeah,
dude.
Mineta?
Mineta. Yeah.
I think everyone
That-
hates him.
Yeah. He sucks.
I hate him too.
Because he introduces a lot of anime bullshit.
Yeah. I was like hollering and hooting at my computer every time Sue like punched him or drowned him or whatever. It was fun. She was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, get him out of
Sue-
here."
Because Sue is fucking rad.
Yes, she's great.
I can see why she's become a big meme.
She's great. Oh. I did not hear her dub voice, but her her Japanese voice is really, it sounds just like a frog, and it's pretty great.
The dub voice is the same way. It's actually kind of funny. The woman who voices her in the dub is Monica Rial, who among doing like 5 million other voices, was Tomoko in Watamote.
Oh.
And I haven't seen all of Watamote, but I've seen like some clips on YouTube and such, and I can hear a bit of that voice, but then like modified into like a froggish voice. It works. It actually works really well though. But wait a second, Jor, did you have the dub on but then switch away from it?
I did not finish rewatching the show,
Oh,
but I remember enough of it because I watched it a few weeks ago.
okay. Well, no hard feelings because I literally finished it about an hour ago.
That is fine. Yeah,
That was the real reason why I delayed this podcast by half an hour.
that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
Um.
The dub, I'll save a rant for the dub at the end after we're done talking about writing.
Oh.
I'll try not to be too. I know you liked it, so I don't want to be too rude. I don't want to make this like a fight cast.
Nah, man. Go somewhat far.
Okay, but I'll say that for after the writing because I don't want to get lost in the weeds. Is that the saying?
Yeah. All right.
Whatever.
But yeah, so there were only like 2 characters I didn't like, and I thought that there were 1 or 2 places that they could have tightened up the pacing a bit, and it sort of suffers from shonen syndrome, different from Noragami syndrome.
Yes.
Where it sort of feels like they're just like getting ready to go into a never-ending series of villain arcs. Because I haven't watched very many shonen, but like aside from like I'm not gonna count Full Metal Alchemist, but like something like Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic, and the sequel, the Kingdom of Magic. When I watch that series, I feel there's a very clear progression. With My Hero Academia, I feel like there's a very clear progression going on, but now that we're at the League of Villains, I feel like the progression will slow a bit. And it's been like 2 years since I watched Magi, so there was probably some progression slowing down in that as well. And that was animated by A1 Pictures, so it's objectively worse.
Yeah.
That's actually that's one of their better shows.
It'll be interesting to check back in. I'm assuming we're doing a season 2 cast later someday when it finishes airing.
Boy.
So it'll be interesting to check back in on like where it goes because I've seen, I guess half of season 2 at this point. So I have some like
13 episodes.
Pardon?
13 episodes, I said.
I think so. There's like a point in I don't know if it's exactly 13, but there's a point halfway through where it like ends an arc. So
Because,
I
the
stopped
second
after there and waiting
season-
for the rest to come out.
The second season is 25 episodes, which I do think it's pretty cool that they went from a 1-course show into a 2-course show. And there's been I think like 15 episodes to come out so far, so
Yeah.
yeah, I can't really say all that much about like the overall story. I did still think that it was going really strong when they first got into the academy, when they were doing all the training stuff. I really liked all the teachers that they introduced, and like almost all the side characters got introduced there. This story and characters section is going to overlap a bit. It's going to overlap entirely, in fact. See, it's interesting here on my anime list because it lists 5 different characters as main characters because it was Deku, Katsuki, All Might, Ochako, sorry, and Ida. It lists all of them as mains, but honestly the only ones that I'd call mains are Deku and All Might. That's not to say Katsuki, Ochako, or Ida are bad characters, because I liked all of them a lot.
Yeah.
They were all really fun. Katsuki, I didn't like him at first.
Yeah.
When he first came on, I was like, who is this fuckboy? Because he's like super arrogant.
Yeah.
But then like when he's finally bested later on, and he starts getting a bit more humble, I liked him more there.
Yeah.
He became less of a bully, and he became more of a
A disgruntled
sort of a
youth.
red. Yeah, I was gonna say with Deku, sort of a red oni, blue oni sort of thing. Do you know what I mean by that? Just
No.
give me a yes or no. Okay, red oni, blue oni is a TV tropes term. It's like a very common dynamic in like, particularly in like Japanese stories. That's why Oni.
I'm guessing it's just a rivalry type of thing.
It's sort of like a friendly rivalry sort of thing.
Yeah.
Basically, blue Oni is like the more cool-headed one. Red Oni is like the more hot-headed one. They're both like on the same side, but they both are like sort of like fire forged friends who are gonna like rib one another, that sort of thing.
Cool. Yeah.
But I
would
do
say
like that dynamic. So
I'm a sucker for it
And
anytime
then-
it shows up in a story.
yeah, out of the other characters, Deku's great. Like I feel like he's similar to a lot of other shonen heroes. I guarantee that a lot of people are like, hey, he's like the next Naruto or whatever, but I wouldn't really say that. I'd say they're of a similar archetype. They're both
man.
like energetic shonen leads, but like Deku is his energy. One, he's a lot of people to counter it because his main like source of energy is his fanboyishness, which if he starts like fanboying too hard, everybody like sort of gives him a weird look.
Yeah.
And like and it works well. And I love especially how like the background will I forget the exact colors, but like it just becomes like a weird color gradient, and like it just says mutter in
just
the
goes across the
kanji.
screen. Yes.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite like visual gags in the show.
I like Deku a lot, and I relate to him a lot too, because in
Continue.
okay, his whole life he's like looked up to the heroes of society
Yeah.
and wanted to become like them. And I've always been that type of person. Like when I was little, I was like, oh, I looked up to. When I was like really little, I looked up to like Nintendo, and wanted to be
Yeah.
like a cool game programmer, developer, like
Yeah.
all the Nintendo guys. And
I want to be like Masahiro Sakurai.
yeah, basically.
I thought that a lot as a kid too.
Yeah, and I guess it's a very, not just, it's like a relatable thing in general. We all look up to people. It's especially
Yeah.
relevant nowadays because,
YouTubes.
yeah, the YouTubes. There's a lot of people I look up to on YouTube who do like analytical videos. And for the longest time I was like, that's it's really cool, but it's not my thing. I don't think I can do it. And then at some point, I don't know what exactly inspired the spark in me, but I went for it. And I made a channel. I have a channel now, which is cool. And Deku is like he's just an interesting like characterization of that whole wanting something, going for it, taking it. It's like the American dream in a way.
Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it.
It's funny
'Cause,
because
like,
All Might calls the training program the American Dream training program.
American Dream training program.
As soon as he said that in the show, I was like, oh man, this whole show is like a metaphor. It's like the whole show is the American dream. Deku has no talent, nothing, and he takes the...
better embodifies the American dream than most American shows.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because, like, you look at most American TV, and most of it's, like... It's interesting, because Digi talked about this once. He was like, people say that too much of anime takes place in high school, but people never say that too much of American TV takes place in, like, the crime underworld, even though it's totally true.
It is. Oh, man.
But, yeah. And, like... I feel like there's some people who would probably say that, like, why does it gotta take place in high school? Why couldn't they be college students like me? But I think that, I think it's a good setting for the tone they're going for.
Yeah. I don't have too much of a problem with the high school setting, but maybe that's just because I haven't seen 100 shows with it yet.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel, too. But even then, like, high school is a super versatile setting.
Yeah. You can do a lot with it.
Because, yeah. I mean...
It's almost like it's almost like...
You can have a show like... Sorry. I'll let you say your thing in a second. This isn't a 12-cent thing, I promise.
Okay.
But I was just going to say, like, in terms of high school, you can have a show like this that takes place in a high school that's like a fun action comedy romp. And then you can also have a show like, I've seen Hibike Euphonium, but I've seen like a dozen analysis videos on it. And like you can also have like a character drama like that take place in high school.
Yeah, that's basically what I was gonna say. It's like a
Yeah.
non-setting almost. It's like an excuse to throw all these people together, get them to meet and interact and in daily
Yeah.
life.
A lot of people will be like, why aren't there more shows set in like a workplace? It's like you can't really do that with like an office space even the same way you can with like high school.
Yeah, because high school it throws together people of all types. You can have like a delinquent, you can have you can have cliques and whatnot. But if you're in a workspace, everyone's got more in common. So that thing they have in common becomes more of a focus. Like in the anime New Game, where they're all it's like a cast of game developers. They're all cute girls.
Yeah. Oh hey, speaking of New Game, fun fact, the guy who played Katsuki in the dub, he is directing the dub of New Game.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't really expect that from Bakugo, but I've heard a bit of it, and it seems like he's doing a pretty good job directing it.
Nice.
But that's just an opinion.
A
An
Ray
anime
opinion. Oh.
Either one works.
True.
I'm like a dub defender though, so you know.
Yeah.
More main characters. Let's talk a bit about All Might. Because, you know, I see All Might's design. I see that big ass grin. And I'm like, this is like a joke character, isn't it? But he's not. He's awesome. All Might is the coolest guy. And like,
I want him to be my
he
dad.
is. Agreed. But what I was gonna say is that he is a bit of a parody, if you look at him, because, or I guess, yeah, you could say he's like sort of a parody of like Superman in a way.
Yeah.
They're both these like red and blue clad like invincible heroes who are symbols of peace. But you know, when I look at Superman in like the new movies that they're making, he doesn't strike me as like a symbol of peace. He just strikes me as a dude.
Yeah. He's a dude who has
who-
powers and it's a burden for him. Bleh.
Yeah. And to be fair, other interpretations will go in a more not edgelord route.
Yeah.
It's funny for me whenever I accuse something of being edgy, since like so many of my favorite shows could be categorized that way. But like most of those have something backing up their edge or make it into a cool aesthetic. Zack Snyder doesn't. He thinks he does, but he doesn't.
Yep. Yep.
But like All Might, he does strike me as like a symbol of peace. I think the fact that there's such a big difference between his like superhero form and his normal form visually helps accentuate this. But the fact that you know that he's like putting on an act for the people, it grounds him a lot.
Yeah. That's true.
And like,
And even he grows as a character. Like he's not just some dude who's
Yeah.
there and is meant to be an idol. He also grows.
yeah, and you know, I like the fact that he takes on a mentor role. That also sort of helps ground him a bit, that he works so closely with the main character.
Yeah.
And another thing that helps ground him is the fact that he isn't invincible.
This is true.
I like the fact that I like the fact that he wins in the last episode, but that you start seeing that he has to struggle throughout the final episodes. I've talked a lot of shit on the final episodes, but they were cool.
Oh yeah.
And you know, one of the things I loved about those final episodes was the fact that like all the teachers got to like show off their combat skills and be super badass, but they also you had this feeling the whole time, like, these kids, they aren't always going to have these teachers there to protect them. You know that it's going to get more
There's like
intense.
some dread there. It's
Yeah.
almost like a second climax, but instead of for Deku, it's like a climax for All Might, because he comes in and it's like the whole. Okay, first of all, I think actually I'm taking back everything I just said about dragging it out. That was good that they dragged it out, because it drags out the dread. The whole time you're like hoping, oh man, All Might, when's All Might gonna get there? He can do it. He can fix it. Yeah, All Might, come on. Just everyone hang on just a little longer.
Yeah, and you're also like, how long can everyone hold on for?
Yeah, exactly. And like,
because there's a little bit of like a comedy like permeating the final few episodes, but it does feel like suitably dramatic for like a first season finale.
yeah.
And like,
And then All Might bursts in, and you're like, yeah, he's gonna do it. And he's like, I'm here, and he's like totally ready. And then it just gets more and more terrifying as you realize he's not going to win.
yeah, he couldn't just come in and then instantly win. And like, you know, he does bust out the plus ultra, and that's like super cool. But then, like, you know, if Deku hadn't bought him those last few seconds, he even says so at the end of the final episode, then he probably wouldn't have made it through that battle. But another thing that was said at the end of the final episode that kind of annoyed me was that Deku and All Might were the only people who were injured. I was like, alright, this is an action comedy shonen anime, but I feel like it's a little bit, like, unrealistic. I know that's a bit of a buzzword, but I'm gonna say it anyway. That, like, nobody else was injured. I want to see these kids suffer.
That, yeah, true. I want to see Mineta get like stabbed, and Recover Girl can't get to him in time. He just dies.
You know, I wish that you'd laugh at my jokes as well, Jor, so that I wouldn't,
How do I laugh on command?
I don't know.
Do I have to do like an
I
All Might
thought-
laugh? Oh!
I thought when I said I want to see these kids suffer, that was a pretty clear and pretty funny joke.
Fair.
That's the real fight. It's not going to be over the dub.
It's gonna be over whether or not your joke was funny.
Alright, more characters. Because I don't really have anything else to say on All Might. You know, I thought that Ochako was a pretty good lead. Like, female lead, I mean.
True. I like that
she
makes Deku embrace his nickname.
Yeah, I love that.
Because not only is it cute, it's also realistic. If I had some weird name and then a girl told me it could mean this, I would be like, yeah, she's right. She's also cute. I believe it.
Jorlosopher, that's just my weird YouTube name. Well, I think Jor is kind of cute.
Yeah, exactly. You sound kind of
Yeah.
smart. And I'd be like, oh, you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, same here. I'd totally be called Ray IRL if a cute girl was the one who called me Ray.
Exactly.
But speaking of cuteness and that sort of thing, I thought that I liked that they weren't like a full-on couple, but that it was teased a fair amount, and like you could see a bit of a cute budding romance the whole time.
Yeah, at least on his side, because you can't really get into her head.
You can't really get into her head, but you can tell that at the very least she sees him as like a very good friend.
Yeah.
They both are set up as like being in debt to one another in that fourth episode.
This is true.
I feel like that's always sort of a springboard into romance.
Just you wait, man. It's gonna be Ida and Ochako, and Deku's gonna go be single forever because he
Deku's
wants to be a
gonna
symbol of
get
peace.
Cut.
Yeah,
This is gonna be an NTR show.
exactly. It'll be like Spider-Man. He'll be like, "No, Ochako, I can't be with you because you'll be a target. I'm sorry." It'll be so sad and so horrifying. And
No, Chaco, I'm married to justice.
yes, and then he walks away, and All Might just pats him on the back. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. I don't exactly have anything to say about like her character, but I just think that she was very likable, you know.
I'll give you a bit of like I'm not going to spoil you, but I'll give you the second season focuses a lot on these other characters around them.
Yeah, I think with all, and I'd say similar things for Ida. He's very likable, but both of them don't really get a lot of development.
Yeah.
But I know that that's what the second season is there for, and like, you know, I did that One Punch Man cast, the one that nobody watched,
Yeah.
and my biggest complaint with the show was that like Saitama and Genos were both awesome characters who got a lot of good development, fair amount of good development for in Genos's case, but like all the side characters just sort of like show up in like episode 9, with the exception of like Sonic, who shows up in like episode 5, and but like and Moomin Rider, everyone involved in the big like episode 9 battle all showed up a few episodes earlier, and then everyone else showed up in episode 10. But like in this show, I like the fact that not everyone gets development, but everyone has really striking designs and a few like memorable traits to them. You get a very good sense of who everyone is.
Yes, I love this.
Yeah, and I think Ida, he is one of the ones that you get the most like out of in this first season. He's a very like kind of like lovable dork.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, he's like very rule abiding and like he's kind of like uptight, but he also is, but you can tell that's out of like a concern for everyone else.
Yeah.
And like he comes from this like long line of like rich superheroes, but like he tries to play that down so he can be on everyone else's level. That's a character that's pretty common in anime, but it's a good character, hence why.
Yeah. I want to hug him. I want to hug Ochako. I want to hug Deku. And I want to hug everybody in this show, to be honest, except Mineta.
And Stomach Laser guy, whose name I can't remember. Although with him, the point was that he was annoying, so...
Yeah, he's a bit of a comic relief.
Yeah. Actually, you know, one of my favorite episodes was a pair of episodes, actually, was like when they were doing the like heroes and villains 2-on-2 thing. I feel like that was where we got to see a lot of the characters. Like I loved it when Ida like put on his like villainous act.
Oh yeah, that was
a lot
good
of fun.
Like, was that 2 episodes?
Yeah.
Those were really good.
Yeah, we got a really good rival battle, and but we also got to see more of Ochako and Ida.
This is like only tangentially related, but
go ahead.
I'm being reminded of it because of the rival battle. Every time Deku goes for a punch, I'm like jumping in my chair, like I'm like yeah hit, like I'm ready for him to topple an entire city. I'm ready for him to like sink Japan into the ocean with a punch. I'm ready for him to send the Earth off balance a bit so that it flies into the sun. Whenever he rears up for a punch, yeah, kill everybody, do it. It's great,
dude. Deku is like the ultimate rootable protagonist because the first 4 episodes establish him as like the perfect underdog.
Yeah, they totally build him up. Even just the first episode is great with that. When he cries with his mom because he can't have a quirk, I was like, oh my god, I feel you, kid, please.
Yeah,
please.
And like, I couldn't relate to him as deeply as you could. That might be because when I was like 14, I realized that I didn't want to game design. But when you mentioned YouTube, I did think about that, and I was like, yeah, All Might, aka Digibro.
Exactly, except
seems pretty unattainable. No, he's not. I've spoken to him a grand total of like 3 times.
Rip. We're like
Yeah.
the classroom. You and I and
Maybe
who else? Let's see.
I was
trying to
gonna say
people-
maybe Roger Smith is my All Might. Cause he actually is like I talk to him very regularly.
That's fair, and he's cool.
Yes.
So
Shout out to Roger Smith 2004.
yeah,
You know, earlier we were talking about Ochako, and we both agreed that she was pretty cute. And you know, there was like 2 scenes in the whole show where Deku like said that he thought she was attractive. And that reminded me of how earlier today I was browsing Twitter and Jekko had retweeted this like well no it wasn't a retweet, he had just like posted a screenshot of like a paragraph from a review of the show where they claimed that there was like too much fan service, and I'm like, how much of a prude can you be? Because there's
much.
like 4 scenes of fan service in this show,
I'm trying to remember.
and
They
like that's it.
they have, if you consider Ochako's outfit fan service, her hero outfit, I guess that's one.
Yeah, which I wouldn't, but I could see like someone.
Yeah. There's like 3 scenes with Mineta, probably 2 or 3.
Yeah, there's the one scene where the girl like loses her top, but like I
yeah.
like that she's like super cool about it, and she's like, oh no, it's no problem, I'll just materialize a new one.
See,
I was like, she's cool.
if someone calls her outfit fan service, I have a problem with them because her power is literally to pull things out of her body, out of her skin. She needs to show skin to better
Yeah.
control her power.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't even thought of that though, but like, cause yeah, like if you're gonna like reach for that, you're probably gonna like reach toward your torso.
Yeah, like you could pull something out of your arm, but what if it's wider than your arm? Your torso
Yeah.
is the widest thing on you. That's like the best place to pull something large out of.
Yeah. So like,
Yeah, and you're
It
right.
makes
She's like
sense.
totally chill about it. I feel like there's
Even,
more power to the fan service when the girl's like, oh no, 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 no. You know, I don't know what that
yeah.
noise was, but
Well, no, the only thing that I was a bit taken aback was that you said more power, because that sort of makes it sound like a good thing, but I know that you were trying to say that it was like a detriment, if that's the case.
yeah, like I meant more like more, I don't know, like more of an
It's a
impact in
detriment.
either a negative or a positive way, depending on how you, if you like it, I guess.
But like, I guess you could call like the main 3 girls who like have a presence in the show, you could say that they have like fan service-y outfits. Even Sue, like, because Sue and Ochako both have like skin tight outfits, but like they're both either flying or swimming a lot, so it makes
Yeah,
sense.
and they don't even, I don't know, it's said it's skin tight, but they don't like draw it so that it's so skin tight. The art style doesn't
Yeah, they
emphasize
do.
it much.
There's one scene where they emphasize it, but like that's only just to get across that Deku finds it attractive.
True.
You know, speaking of Deku, he's like the one character whose costume I found disappointing.
Dude, I hate his costume. Which I feel like he's probably gonna make a new one. And the
Yeah.
reason I think that is because like I have this sneaking suspicion he's gonna have this arc where he's like, I don't need to be All Might again. I'll be my own person, kind of thing.
That's what I'm hoping for.
I'm thinking
because
they intentionally made his outfit really disappointing so that they could replace it with a cool one that he comes out with later.
that outfit, I thought it was really stupid at first. Because
Even All
like
Might
it makes
points
him
it out.
Yeah, well, All Might points out that it's like kind of riffing on his, which that part I didn't mind as much. What I didn't like was the green horns. Do you know how much do you know about Pokemon?
Oh, I know everything about Pokemon.
Do you remember the legendary from Generation 5, Virion?
Yeah.
Yeah. He kind of looked like a human version of
I'm not
Virion.
gonna get that out of my head now, thanks.
Now you feel my pain.
Yes, indeed. He reminded me of a donkey every time I saw his face, and I was like, oh, what an ass. Every time.
He was the ultimate Shrek OC. He was green like Shrek and a donkey like Donkey.
He's the Shrek Donkey Gem Fusion.
That we need this fanfic to be written.
Yes, we do.
Maybe he'd talk like Eddie Murphy in that fanfic.
Oh god.
And then after that, he's like, well, I guess I'm just gonna wear the PE outfit for the rest of the season. And I'm like, alright, I know that's temporary, show.
Yeah.
And that one's like even more similar to All Might in a way, because it has the red and blue and white.
You just can't escape All Might.
You can't escape the shadow.
Oh, actually,
of the
another
symbol
thing about
of
All Might we
peace.
missed talking about. Very brief,
Yeah.
because I'm sure everyone noticed this, but
Do it!
yeah, all his English is great, but also, well, I guess you watched the dub. So you watched the first dub.
I watched first two in Japanese,
Yeah.
so I remember the English.
His English is great because he'll always be like, "Holy shit!" Like he'll just swear.
Yeah,
He'll swear
in
English, and then he'll say some words. He'll say in English, like out of the blue.
Texas Smash! That's an example.
Indeed, it's pretty great.
Yeah. He doesn't do that in the dub, but like I still think that when he like does his bigger attacks, it's very memorable. That was the prologue to the dub fight.
Oh no!
I feel like it's not actually going to get very intense.
Oh,
though.
just you wait, man. Just you wait. Okay. Let's see.
You know, while we're talking about characters, do you know who I think had my favorite... Oh, actually, wait. That one girl that you have as your avatar, Mina, she has a pretty great design.
True.
And All Might has a pretty great design.
I don't know much
And
about her
Bakugo
yet.
and Ochaku have very good designs.
I love all those
The
designs.
one design that I really like is Aizawa.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, and you know, all the kids are like afraid of him, but he was like one of my favorite characters.
Same. He's awesome. I love
Yeah.
him. I was like so worried he was
Yeah.
gonna die by the season end.
Yeah.
I was like, no,
yeah.
don't kill him
I
yet.
almost thought that
I love him.
thought that he might die, but I was like, they're not gonna do that, are they? And I was like, nah, they didn't do it. That's good.
The part, oh man, the part,
and I did
dude,
like
the part where he like, where the hand kid is like gonna, I don't know, was he killing Deku? He was killing somebody. He was about to, and then suddenly his powers don't work, and then he's like, oh, you're pretty good, and it's Aizawa, and he's using his erasure.
Yeah.
That was like so cool. I was like, oh.
Yeah, you really get the danger from, I don't remember Hand Guy's name, but
Yeah.
talk about good designs. He's only in the show for like 4 episodes, and he only has like a dozen lines, but the main villain definitely creates a pretty like memorable presence because
He looks so cool in a creepy, edgy
Yeah.
way.
yeah.
He's like the Gajinka of the dead hand from Zelda.
Yeah, that's an awesome way of phrasing it.
Also, his like minion Nomu or whatever it's called looks stupid.
Are you talking about the cloud dude?
I'm talking about the guy who's like a brain with a bird
Oh,
beak and he's like gigantic.
yeah.
He looks so dumb.
He's the worst design.
Yeah, he looks so boring. Even Mineta looks more interesting than him.
Yeah.
So I see like Deku's costume. I'm wondering if that was intentional in some way. I'm thinking like, are they gonna
Well,
do
he did-
something to him later?
It looks like he's gonna like reform because at the end of the series he's taken in by the police, and you know that he'd be able to overpower the
This
police.
is true.
And he doesn't say anything, so I almost get the feeling that he realized that I can't find his character page on my anime list, so he's still just Hand Dude.
That's okay.
That I think he realized like I don't think I want to be with Hand Dude anymore. He's kind of a dick.
True.
Actually, you know, while we're talking about the main villain, if there was one problem that I had with him, it's that his like motivation was a little shaky. That he's all like, oh, you think of yourselves as symbols for peace, but you actually are just a bunch of sellout frauds who solve things with violence anyway. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but that's like super hypocritical because you're also solving all your problems with violence.
That's true.
Like, it would have worked better if instead of being like, I don't like the media, and like, to give credit again to his design, the fact that he wants to be unseen from the public eye is communicated well with the hand covering his face.
True.
But like, I almost feel like it would have been better if he had like tried to like just like bring down the heroes in a different kind of way. But you couldn't have cool shonen fight scenes that way, so
I'm willing to give him a pass because I think we don't have his full motivations yet. I get the feeling he's being like manipulated.
he does have like a master who they hint at.
And he seems like a kid because he's kind of like irrational and throws fits, which I guess that's a stereotype, but whatever. He definitely just seems like a teenager who's like he's got some idol or some like person who's like kind of like influencing him, and he's like just going with it.
That would make him a good foil to Deku.
Yeah. So his maybe his not dad is like the foil to All Might.
Not dad. You know, I almost wonder. That's an interesting that you meant. That's an interesting thing you mentioned there. If this mysterious dude is like a foil to All Might, because that would mean that both Deku and All Might both had sort of like false foils to lead into like actual foils, because like Bakugo is presented as like a foil to Deku at first, but not as much by the series end, and then All Might has Brain Dude.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's kind of clever that they do that. I haven't heard of false flag foils.
Yeah. I'm wondering though what the super bad what kind of quirk would you give a super bad?
Yeah.
Like,
I do wonder that.
What is his quirk? There's just so many options.
Yeah.
It could be something really like not good in combat but super good for manipulation. That'd be interesting. Like,
all right, I'm gonna ask you the deepest question.
Oh shoot! Hit me.
That ties in real close to the show's themes.
Hit me.
Favorite quirk.
Oh snap! Oh man, that's a tough one because I like Deku's just from not so much that I would like it in real life. Or like it on its own. I like what they do with it, that he can't like fully control it. I like it as a writing tool.
Agreed. I like the fact that he has the powers, but he isn't just like instantly able to be like a chosen one.
Exactly. And
that he still has to work for it, just in a new kind of way.
Yeah. I like Aizawa's because it's cool as heck to just be able to cancel other quirks. Like, that is just cool. And then it has a drawback, so it's not, like, invincible.
Yeah. You know, I'm glad that this is all tying back into aesthetics, because I can say that I liked the opening theme.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, by Porno Graffiti, who most of the audience is probably going to know from Bleach, but I haven't seen Bleach. I mostly know them from the first OP and ED of Fullmetal Alchemist 2003, and Magi's second opening and third ending.
Yeah.
Apparently they also did Real Life and Great Teacher Onizuka, but those are more that I haven't seen, so, you know. You know, I think, okay, favorite quirk. This is a tough one. I think I'm gonna cop out, and I'm gonna choose 3.
I mean, I kind of am choosing like 6,000.
Lol. I really liked Todoroki's Hot and Cold. That's really cool.
That's true.
I really liked Aizawa's, and I really liked Uraraka's. Ochako. I've been calling her Ochako throughout this podcast. which I gotta keep in mind. Mostly because I know that if I call her Uraraka repeatedly, I will stumble over one of those R's.
Yeah.
This will be a JoJo cast.
I like the invisible girl. It's funny.
You know, that's another thing that I could see someone call fan service, but it's like, you can't see her.
Yeah. Pretty much.
How could there be fan service if our eyes aren't real?
True. Indeed.
How can fan service be real if our eyes aren't real?
Exactly.
I'm gonna say that now.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I was gonna say about designs. All Might's super design is cool. And then he's like, unpowered form is also really cool.
Yeah.
But like, I think the only thing that I don't like about it, I kind of wish that his non-powered form didn't still have the black eyes and the permanent smile.
Is it a permanent smile? It looks like he frowns a lot.
Actually, it's like a weird grimace.
Yeah.
So like, I guess it's always either like a big smile or a big frown, sort of. Basically, I just wish that they didn't always have the teeth showing. If they didn't do that, then he could still have the black eyes, since they give him like pupils anyway.
Yeah, I like the black eyes a lot because at the end you see his pupils and it's like, oh my god, it's the same guy! Even though you know that already, but it's like,
That's true.
It connects him
You're
more.
right. I'm stupid. So yeah, alright. We've talked about characters, we've talked about story.
Getting into it.
Say something for more than 2 minutes. Talk about themes.
Oh, themes. Didn't we kind of do that with story and characters?
Barely.
Because, when I was talking about Deku's...
I want you to get into this, bro.
Deku's, whole, American Dream thing. This American Dream kind of theme. It seems like a theme to me that the show has.
The dream theme.
Yeah.
That's what we'll call it.
So I kind of got into that one already. I don't know if there's much more to add to it.
Well, screw it. Let's talk a bit more about it then.
Okay.
I think the American Dream thing. Well, I think instead of calling it that, we could just say that I think it's a show about sort of chasing your dreams in general.
True.
I like the fact that it shows that even for those who are very talented, you still need to work for your dreams.
This is true. This is realistic.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about Bakugo, and I realized something. Even though our overall demeanors are basically the opposite, because Bakugo's arrogant and angry, arrogant and boisterous. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm kind of shy and always self-deprecating. I do realize there's a similarity to both of us in that I think we both have a fair amount of natural talent, but we both aren't quite at the highest level because we aren't doing the thing that taps into our potential enough. For me, it's not writing any fucking analysis videos. We're both just making podcasts. Bakugo's making podcasts. I think I'd listen to a podcast starring the characters from this show.
Same. So, do you both get fired up thinking about people who are better than you, and then well, not better than you, but people who can compete with you? Bakugo gets really angry when he thinks about how Deku is doing well now. I mean, he's not...
I don't get angry when I think about you, but I do get slightly annoyed with myself. Because I'm like, Jor just put out another fucking awesome analysis video, and where's yours, Ray? Where the fuck is that Samurai Champloo video
I feel like we
that
can
you
use
said you were going to make a few weeks ago?
I feel like we can use you to analyze Bakugo. Because I feel like the reason he gets angry is he's actually mad at himself for similar reasons.
Yeah. I feel like he's angry at himself because he wants to be the best, but he's realizing that he always felt like the best, but he wasn't actually.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I could sort of I gotta stretch it a little bit, but I could sort of draw a parallel with the fact that, like, alright, I've seen, like, 80 anime. Taken off the pop filter. That is nothing.
Oh no.
But like, all the people that I've known IRL who are anime fans have seen, like, next to nothing. Like, most of them would rate Sword Art Online above 5. Instant plebs. But then I see, like, Digi, and I'm like, that guy's seen, like, 800 shows. And I see, like, Pause and Select or Jekko, and I'm like, these guys have, like, unfathomably deep knowledge about the medium. Roger Smith also has seen, like, 800 shows. So I see these people with incredibly vast or incredibly deep, like, skill sets related to the thing that I want to do, and I'm like, I thought that I was cool, but I'm only semi-cool.
Only half cool.
Only half cool.
We should, dude, this gives me an idea. You should make a video about, like, a scripted video about how you relate to Bakugo. And I should make one how I relate to Deku, and we should release them at the same time.
That would be cool, but I feel like I already did that here.
Well, we could cut all this up.
Nah. Well, you know, I have an unspoken rule that is about to become spoken. Get ready.
Oh no.
Yeah, I have an unspoken but now spoken rule about analysis scripted videos, and that's that I gotta rewatch a thing before I do an analysis on it. I don't analyze shows after watching them once because I'm not that confident.
Oh, rip.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I did that. No, I didn't. I watched Ghost in a Shell the first time and then wrote my video on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you're, like, good, and I'm, like, semi-good. So, you know, you can do that, but I can't. Or at least, I don't see myself as being able to. This is now not the My Hero Academia analysis cast. This is the self-analysis cast. Now, Jor, please tell us about one of your personal insecurities.
Oh, dang. Oh, man. Personal insecurity of myself.
That was a joke. You don't have to say anything.
Okay.
Okay. Other things we can say about this show. We've been going for about an hour and a half, but fuck it, we can talk a little more. 'Cause, like,
I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure we had some, like, dead spots that could be cut and it wouldn't be as long anyway.
Yeah, this one's probably gonna get a fair amount cut. Because you didn't talk enough, Jor.
It takes me a
fault.
little bit to get going, you know. I'm like, okay, well, here's my turn to ask you if you know your Pokemon. The legendary in Gen 4 Regigiga has its ability is slow start.
Yeah, slow start.
That's me in everything.
Dude, I really hope that we're still synced because we said slow start at the same time, and that'll be awesome.
Perfect.
That'll be another reverb moment.
Yes. And then we could, like, edit in Fakeman saying it too. Slow start. Except I guess that would be slower and wouldn't line up. Oh well.
Yeah. Have you ever listened to the band Bad Religion?
No.
They're well known for, like, 3-part vocal harmonies. So we could say that this is the Bad Religion of anime podcasts.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Should we get into...
You know, speaking of stupid metaphors...
Yeah?
One Punch Man. People are like, these are both superhero anime, therefore we must compare them. But I liked this show more. So, My Hero Academia and One Punch Man are like spaghetti. That's right. I'm gonna bust out food metaphor.
The spaghetti metaphor.
Yes,
you're not gonna save it and like blue ball everyone listening and then turn it into like a script later.
Nah, fuck it. I'm just gonna say it here.
All right.
So, well, partially because it relies on puns. So you go into this spaghetti restaurant, not Italian, spaghetti restaurant,
Okay.
and it's a total madhouse in there.
Okay.
Because you look at the walls, and the entire walls are just covered in these like glowing reviews of the facility, and you're like, whoa, is this gonna live up to the hype? And then they sit you down, and you're like, and they're like, yo man, we got the best spaghetti. And like the first thing you taste when you eat the spaghetti is the sauce, their special sauce. They call it sasuga. They brought in tons of creative voices from around the world to contribute to this sasuga, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's like 10 out of 10. It's like the smoothest sasuga you're ever gonna see. And then you taste the meatballs, which they call meta balls, and these meta elements, if you will. They make the show, the spaghetti, I mean, a little more interesting. They add a bit of flavor to this spaghetti, and you're like, all right, now let's get to the noodles. And you take a bite of the noodles, and they're like very generic noodles. They're like grocery store noodles. They're gross shonen noodles. And you're like, oh, well, this drags it down a bit, because you have all this cool stuff, but your foundation is like a 6 out of 10.
So that's One Punch Man.
That's One Punch Man, where you have the best Sakuga and some cool meta things, but like the foundation of the show is like based on cliches, so it's not as interesting as a lot of people say it is.
Huh.
And then like My Hero Academia, I don't have nearly as many puns for, don't worry. But you go into the restaurant, and this one, you're like, you look at the facility, this one isn't covered in reviews. This one's got like a few reviews, but like it's showing off more of like how structurally sound it is, the bones of the facility. and so with this one, you taste the sauce, and this one isn't like the smoothest thing ever. This one has like a few chunks in it, because My Hero Academia is like a very, very well animated show, but it's not like the most well animated show you're ever gonna see. So like, but like ultimately this improves the sauce. And then you get to the meat, and like they were more sparse with the meat. This meat's like more regular meat, but you're like, all this is like the supplementary stuff. And then you get to the noodles, and the noodles are like good noodles. Like, these didn't come from like a grocery store. They came from like whatever is like 2 steps up from the grocery store.
They were handcrafted by the chef.
Exactly. They ordered these noodles from across the Pacific Ocean, because this was inspired by American comics.
Nice.
But the point of the overly elaborate spaghetti metaphor is that One Punch Man is a show where the foundation is weak, but then everything on top of it is cool. My Hero Academia is a show where the stuff on top is pretty cool, but the foundation itself is like more solid, hence why I rated it a point above One Punch Man. A lot of people are probably going to think that I hate One Punch Man now, but I gave it a 7.
That's fair.
I gave this an 8 in comparison on my anime list.
I should go eat some One Punch Man so I can compare it to the
Go to Madhouse Spaghetti today.
I mean, I heard One Punch Man spaghetti doesn't have any bones in it, so that's pretty good.
Let me get a boneless spaghetti with a 2-liter Coke.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. I did the meme.
You did it.
I hope Socks, my previous guest, watches this, because he said that he loves that meme.
Wow, I can't words. We deliver on our promises around here on the Otacast.
We deliver on our overly elaborate spaghetti metaphors and shitty memes.
Speaking of delivering, should I get to my dub rant?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of the meat, let's get into the meat of this.
Hey.
All right, say why the dub is utter shit. Or whatever.
I hated almost every voice.
Okay, well, first say which ones you liked.
Okay, let's see. Decky's was okay. It fit him sometimes. That's what I'll give it. I'm trying to think if there's any I really liked. I didn't hear a lot of the villains, so maybe the villains are cool, because I didn't get that far.
I thought they sounded pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't hear Handboy. Maybe he might have the best voice. We'll never. I'll know. Maybe one day I'll listen to that. Just to
It was good. It sounded suitably villainous.
I mean, I don't hate. I'm exaggerating, but I don't hate all the voices. I think quite a few of them are not too fitting though. Maybe that's just because I watched the first season and half the second season Japanese, and I already have these voices in my head.
I think that's part of it. I think that's part of why any dub isn't well liked, or why any sub isn't well liked. A good example would be Steins Gate.
Yeah.
Most people who watch Steins Gate in sub first don't like the dub. Most people who watch it dub first don't like the sub as much.
Yeah. The big kicker, like with the Hiroaka dub for me, is All Might's voice didn't fit him enough in my head.
Did you think it was like too?
He was too almost like too
jokey?
too tame.
Too tame.
Yeah, he didn't put enough into his voice. Like I'm imagining something closer to my Fakeman voice, but like more professional. Like he doesn't have to talk flamboyantly like that, but it feels like it's some guy just at his mic who's like, I don't know. He just didn't seem as just into being All Might. Like he's the symbol of peace. He's not. His laugh isn't as boisterous. His speech isn't as like loud and like active.
I could see that, but personally, I think Chris Sabat did a great job. He's the guy who did. He's one of the better known dub actors. He was originally his breakthrough role was like Piccolo from DBZ, and he's been doing dubs since.
I see.
And I thought that he was suitably boisterous. I feel like in dubs you generally have to tone down a character like that just a little bit. Especially, I think he made the transitions between normal All Might and superpowered All Might feel pretty natural.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely he did different voices, which is appreciated. I just don't think his like superhero All Might was enough. Every time I heard him talk, I was like, you need just a little more. I'm like,
yeah, it might have helped if you had gotten a bit further into the show, but I think that's a valid complaint.
Yeah, and then let's see.
So hit me with another one.
Bakugo's was okay. It wasn't. It was. I don't know. I think this one's more to do with being used to the Japanese voice, unless a specific complaint. But his voice just
having listened to both. Having listened to both, I thought that they both fit very well. I think the main difference there is just I think the Japanese voice is a little bit more like growly a little bit and like a bit harsher. But
it didn't feel harsh enough
to
the dub to me.
See, I actually like the dub voice more because it was a little less harsh. I feel like it made him a little more like sympathetic for me.
That's fair.
And that's fair on your end as well.
But one of the ones that really annoyed me was that Ochako's voice, she sounded way too old to me. She didn't sound cute and young enough, and it was like really throwing me off every time she opened her mouth.
Does Ochako first appear in episode 3? I don't think she's in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, I think it's in 3.
So yeah, I only heard her English voice. I thought it fit her.
She's a lot cuter in the Japanese dub to me. Just
yeah, I hear
know, something about it. Just
that's
not as cute.
actually a pretty common thing that I hear about dubs. I think
Yeah.
I think for some people, it feels like a bit too like either like artificial, like they're trying too hard to sound high and cute, or it sounds like they're not trying hard enough to sound high and cute.
Yeah.
It usually I don't have that problem. I didn't really have it here. I've never really known anyone with like higher voices like that.
Like, I don't need her to have
So-
like a super high voice. It's just I'm not sure. Like the way she talks,
It doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah, it felt to me like it definitely felt like someone older trying to sound like a high schooler, and I know that's vague, but that's just the feeling I got.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It didn't feel that way to me, but like, I can see why someone would say that.
Yeah, I have a friend, and if I'm Deku, she's probably literally Ochaku.
Oh yeah.
Like, just in her personality is similar, but also her voice would fit Ochaku perfectly.
There's your problem.
Oh.
You know actual cute girls.
Oh. Is that a problem?
No. Yes, for listening to anime dubs.
I don't know if she would be interested enough in this to listen to it, but if she is, hi. You know who you are.
Lol. I hope I didn't like expose a secret crush and just start a romance arc in the Jor anime.
If you did, I will blame you suitably. I'll blame you when it comes up.
Go ahead. Yeah. No, that was just sort of an exaggeration, but I think if you go into like anything with like this is what it's gonna be like, right? And then it's not that, it's gonna disappoint you. I didn't really have any expectations because like I hadn't seen very much of her in her hero outfit. I'd seen more of her in just like the school uniform, which the uniforms are all like pretty plain.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have no idea what to expect from this girl. So who knows? Maybe on the rewatch, if I watch it with sub, I'll like that more.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who else?
I think actually someone's voice I liked was Mike's. It was suitably funny and fitting.
Is Mike the like radio dude?
Yeah, with the really weird hair,
Yeah.
sunglasses, and yeah.
I like him because he like always had like a super thick outline around him.
That's true.
You know, that's another like Bones thing. Like especially Oron. Oron has really thick outlines, and then
True.
Soul Eater also has pretty thick outlines at times. It's more like this show, where like the outlines usually aren't super thick, a bit thicker than this show, but then like they'll like do a dramatic thing or a funny thing, and then they get like extra thick. Lay another voice on me. What did you think of Ida?
I heard Okabe in his voice too much, and it distracted me.
Well, yeah, it is J. Michael Tatum, but J. Michael Tatum is like my favorite dub actor, so I was like, fuck yeah, J. Michael Tatum's in this.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't like I don't know. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. It was like, yeah, that fits. That passes.
Yeah, although I could understand not liking it because of the similarities.
Yeah, I guess I'm more critical of dubs in general just because I hear English a lot more than I hear Japanese.
Yeah. See, like, I don't watch things that aren't anime.
No, I just mean like in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
I don't really watch
Well, I
American
guess-
television either.
Yeah. I guess for me, I'm okay if a dub doesn't sound totally realistic, because like, it's anime. Let's see how long this has been going.
That's fair.
Wow, an hour and 50 minutes. I'm glad that I'll have stuff to cut out.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty to cut out.
Yeah, a few of these like dub things, because like I don't even think. Are there any more voices that you wanted to say anything about?
No, it was mainly just All Might, Ochako, and yeah. I think
Bakugo.
Deku's was hit or miss. In some scenes, it was really, really good,
I always liked Deku's voice.
and then in some scenes, it didn't quite fit. And I'm not
to
sure
me,
what.
I haven't heard another dub with Justin Briner in it that like I thought he was like the perfect Deku.
Yeah.
Like even just I had heard the Japanese voice in the first 2 episodes, and I ended up liking his take more.
That's fair.
But hey,
He's not.
that's just a theory. A dub versus sub theory.
True. I feel like I hyped it up, and now I'm thinking like, you know what? My grievances weren't that much.
Yeah, just like how I hyped up the dub for you, and then you ended up disappointed.
That's true. I guess we're even now.
Mm-hmm. Dude, that'll be even better when I edit out like 2/3 of that segment.
Yeah.
Alright, we've been going for a while now.
Yeah.
What do you want to say about My Hero Academia?
Overall, I enjoyed it a lot. I had a lot of fun watching it. I am hoping to make a video about it one day if I can organize my thoughts. I was kind of procrastinating, hoping this podcast would like give me some brain fuel for a video.
Yeah, I was all out of brain fuel if you couldn't tell.
Well, I mean, we managed to go on for a while about it, so we had enough.
My Hero Academia is pretty like open and shut.
Yeah.
It's not bad to be like a straightforward show, but I do think it's like a pretty straightforward show.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people say it's simple when I think they should be saying straightforward. That's a better word.
That's better. I think I would still call it fairly simple. Like it works with a lot of like well-known tropes to
Yeah,
do
but
what
what
it
is that?
does.
What is that? How is that simple? It's just.
And I mean,
it's just
I
straightforward.
guess there's also like, in terms of themes, like there's that thing that we drew out about like dreams,
Yeah.
about not letting your dreams be dreams, and there was like, I mean, I don't know, they sort of started to introduce an ideological conflict at the end, but there wasn't really all that much. So I would say that simple is still a good term. It's not like not a good term, but it's not like a misnomer.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that being said, I've seen people get deeper meanings out of One Punch Man, but I still found this to be the better show.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like I said, One Punch Man it wanted to be like, hey, we're the smart show that we're the deconstruction of shonen. I'm gonna put some reverb on that word any time that I say it.
Good.
But like, whereas this show is like, yeah, we're shonen, but we're gonna do cool things.
I think I have a soft spot for Hero Act. I keep wanting to call it Boku no for some reason.
I don't care what you call it.
I know, but Boku no is like an incomplete thought.
Oh, you meant like short. I thought you just meant like Boku no Hero Academia, not
No,
just
no,
like Boku
just
no.
cutting it off there. I don't know why. But yeah, I have a soft spot for Hero Aka because it awakens my inner mother, my maternal instincts.
You know,
I just want to like
call it.
hold all of these children, and I want to see them all succeed. So every time Deku does something good, I'm like, yeah, my son. Well, I think we've said everything to be said.
Yeah.
Plenty of fun editing for you to do.
But, you know, I kind of wish that I didn't cut you off with my shitty jokes, because you're
what was I
making a
saying?
good point there. That you had a soft spot because, like, it sort of activated, like, your maternal side.
Oh yeah,
I feel like
my maternal
see,
instinct.
that's the thing. I feel like you were able to, like, insert yourself into the show better than I could.
Yeah,
You could get immersed. That's what I mean.
yeah, I get that feeling as well. Because when you're pointing out the climax being around like episode 3 or 4, I was like, oh yeah, I never really thought about that. I was just so immersed.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see my son succeed. He's my son now. Well, I should probably get going too anyways. Get my sleep.
Oh yeah, 'cause you got work.
I have a
You
normie job.
normie.
I have a normie job. Ugh. Normie,
And yet
normie
you
by
still
day,
get out.
anime analyst by night.
Yeah. But you still get more scripted videos out than me. So,
I think that's
you
fair.
know.
You'll
Alright.
get there, man.
Well, I will. I think the fact that the Otacast is back on schedule now should help.
Good. I'm glad. I look forward to videos.
Same. Alright, well, that's all for today, folks at home. What did you think of My Hero Academia? Do you also think it's like a solid 8? Leave a comment down below. The top 4 reviews on Mal. The first is a 7, the second is a 5, the third is a 4, and then the fourth one is 8. So, there's like about a half chance.
More importantly, does it also awaken your maternal instinct? Let us know.
Yeah. Were you immersed like Jor?
Tweet
or
me.
Were you an edgelord like me?
Exactly. Okay, I'm gonna
Right.
split now.
For reals this time.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Have-
This has been Ray.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for inviting me on.
You're welcome. I'll invite you on another time, and that time I'll try and have